it off just the same way that Liz and Simon didn't?
I think we hit it off a bit better than that, didn't we?
Yes, I think so from day one, yes.
You did. You really did wear the glasses as well, did you, at the time?
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I rumbled around in the attic before we came down, and I still have them. A lot of people assume that I did in fact actually wear glasses. They don't, they're plain glass. They're a little small now, so I won't embarrass myself any more by actually putting them on, but they do exist, and there they are. I still have them.
Stars of TIMESLIP. What did you think when you first read the script? Did you understand it?
That's a difficult one, actually.
Yes, because we only received the first 2 or 3
episodes.
Yes, to begin with. And I vividly remember a letter from John Cooper, the producer, who said, under no circumstances attempt to learn them at this stage. Wait until we've actually met and commenced rehearsal. But it was very exciting, not least because they were principal characters. My initial reaction was, if the rest is going to be as exciting as this, it's going to be a marvellous 6 months, which it was, certainly for my part.
Oh, definitely. Yes.
You didn't find I'm really thinking of Peter Fairley making time travel sound terribly confusing. You didn't find it as confusing as that?
Well, the actual storylines, as we took them, each time we had a read-through, we did go into great discussion about how we sort of thought it was going, and sort of getting into sort of our interpretations of what we thought it meant. In fact, we used to have quite a few.
Oh, yes, I remember
deep discussions.
One read-through in particular. An episode in the first batch, the first 6, where Liz was shot during an escape routine. And certain members of the cast wanted to know how it was possible for her to be physically shot in 1940 and not receive a bullet wound. And we went on for hours and hours and hours.
Because there was blood as well, wasn't there?
Oh, yes, yes. Well, there was one theory that the gun was fired in 1940, so that so many years later she would actually collapse with the actual bullet wound, given it would take however many years to reach her. Someone else said it was out of the question.
Might lose a bit of speed on the way.
Yes, yeah. Bruce Stewart got a little disenchanted with the argument, I remember.
That's the writer?
Of that particular batch, yes. But it was very amusing. It took us way and beyond the normal read-through period.
You said you got the first 2 scripts first. How many parts was it going to be? Did you know?
Well, at the time that we actually sort of started, we knew that it was going to be 26 episodes, but originally I think there were only going to be 13. But by the time we started, I believe they had already planned 26.
Yes, because I remember, whilst waiting to hear if the audition had been successful, we were approached and asked if they doubled it to 26. To quote them, would I be available? My father very flippantly said, well, we'll look through his diary and see if we can fit it in. Of course, I was jumping up and down at the thought.
How did you fit your schooling in?
Yes. Well, I was 15 when I commenced TIMESLIP. Now, the licensing laws then were chaperone and a school tutor up until the age of 15, because that was then the school leaving age. So I was able to blackmail the school and say, well, you've got 2 choices. You give me 6 months leave of absence to go and do it, or I leave. What's it going to be, chaps, basically? So they reluctantly said, all right, 6 months leave of absence. They didn't want to publicly be seen to condone me leaving school early. But within several weeks, I remember my father saying to me very quietly one evening, I think the chances of getting you back there are now pretty remote. I said, right in one. So I took the bull by the horns and left early. And I still don't regret it.
Well, you didn't go back into education, right?
Well, the general idea was when TIMESLIP was finished to return to a college of further education, providing I wasn't working, but fortunately by that time I was. So a student of life, I suppose.
Cheryl, you were...
I was 17 when I started, so I'd already left school. I didn't have that problem.
Any of those problems?
No.
So do you remember anything about the first studio session and all the nerves associated with that?
The first episode of any program is always a little nerve-wracking.
Yes.
I mean, again, given my inexperience as well. Very pleased to get the first episode completed. Though we did do the pre-filming, the outside broadcast sequence at the time barrier prior to the first studio, so that actually broke the ice.
I think the main thing is about the very first day of studio is leading up to it, all we'd had were sort of tape lines on the floor where the walls were and gaps where the doors were. So you hadn't seen the set, and of course it was the first time that we actually saw where we'd been working and where we were going to be working, and it all fell into place. The caravan
Sprung to life a bit.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
It actually
Yeah.
fleshes out the rehearsal room, as CHERYL says. You get so used to moving around pretty coloured pieces of tape on the floor. It's nice to have physical walls and doors and props.
Yes. How did you get on with the other members of the cast?
We were like one big happy family. We all got on very, very
Tremendously.
well.
This started quite early on, did it?
Yes, almost from the
Yes.
word go, wasn't it?
And leading up to your first or the second question regarding the so-called precocious
Oh, yes.
reputation that youngsters have in the business, we were working with the likes of Dennis Quilley and Derek Benfield, Iris Russell, all very seasoned, very professional people who were exceedingly kind to the two of us. And I'd like to think we did our best to actually earn that respect. But we were one huge happy family. It was a sad day when Derek and Iris completed their episodes, which was around September, and left. But we gave them an excellent send-off. I can just about remember it.
The last line, the last scene, the last episode of TIMESLIP. Did you not have any idea where it might go if you thought there might have been a...
Do you mean if there had been a follow-on series?
That's right, yes.
Yes, but you know, I understand that Bruce himself had got ideas for a second series. He was going to develop it in another way, and I'd have come in on that with him. I think probably he'd have done half of them and I'd have done the other half. Yes, I had ideas, but I didn't think about it too seriously because I really would have followed Bruce's format.
Yes.
And one doesn't want to pinch that.
So it was your job to create an ending that wasn't
Yes.
quite a definite ending, like they all died or something awful like that.
No, we left Commander Trainer as it was. It was, the ending became quite deep, obviously. It was quite different, I think, from the rest of the episodes. And we just didn't want it to be signed off with Trainer being killed or anybody else being killed. We left it totally open so that if we did do another series, then it was easy to do so. But the last episode, as I think you probably know, did extremely well. It won several awards.
Did you really?
Yes, it won the Society of Authors Award. It was actually nominated for the Prix Jeunesse in Monte Carlo. And it was, you know, an extraordinary piece of acting from all of them, from both CHERYL and Spencer, and very much for Dennis, because it was a very meaty part for Dennis, obviously, in the last episode, and it was a dual role for him. And, you know, television didn't attempt that very often, because it wasn't as easy to do it in those days as it is now.